Oki Sinadopi Nistu Nidaniko Mokoyo Sakoyi. And we welcome you to Native Wellness Institute's Power Hour for Wellness Wednesday. Nistu Sixaketapi. I just want to give a shout out if Rose and Reggie Croshoe are watching us today. I want to thank them because these were my elders that I was in a ceremony on Sunday for Mother's Day. And Rose and Reggie Croshoe said that they watch the Power Hour these past 3 years, and I didn't know that. So it's just awesome. I'm from the Blackfoot Confederacy. I'm Nistu Amskapi Pikani. I come from the Blackfeet Nation. I also have a lot of Kainai relatives. I'm related to the Russells, to the Bull Shields, to the Eagle Ribs. And I'm coming to you live. I'm actually in Squaxin Island Tribe, which is in Shelton, Washington. And I'm with a tribe of elders, and some of them are going to visit with us today. We've been doing a 2-day healing. We're at our lunch break here. It's Pacific Standard Time. We just finished an activity, and the name of the training is Healing from Lateral Oppression. And so we have family services here. There's 26 staff. Charlene Abramson is the executive director. We have several of the staff, clinicians and healers. There's a lot of elders that have come. That one of the elders was, just so you know where we're located on the earth, is that Squaxin Island is actually an island that's just 11 miles by less than a mile. And this is where the tribe where we're doing the healing, there's just about 1,200 enrolled members. And you can take a look around. This is their casino resort. There's just tremendous ancestor feeling here. There's so much cedar, and cedar, we were just, one of the weavers just gifted, look at this, makes me want to cry. She just gifted me this woven basket for thank you. And so this is a place where people come to relax. It has a spa. It has a wonderful hot tub. It has a swimming pool. And then there's just a lot of cedar. Like, look at this piece. And so just being here, I wanted to just take you outside for a minute, because one of the things that the tribe selected here, this is their traditional territory. And in their traditional territory, of course, there's a freeway over here, but surrounding this all cedar building is surrounded by cedar trees. And so in the background here, you can see all of the cedar trees. And so today's Power Hour is, how do we heal from lateral oppression? And I just wanted to, take you on a journey to these cedar trees, because we've been here. Native Wellness Institute, as you know, we come on every Wellness Wednesday. But we were at Macau. Gene Tagabon, Uncle Gene, and I were at Macau last week, and we learned from the 8th graders that the 8th graders said that in order to make a place safe, they went out and they got fresh flat cedar, and this whole valley is just a pharmacy. The elders inside, there's others, Mike, Joseph, and Nisqually, there's Snoqualmie, there's Colville. A lot of the tribes here, they're meeting on plants. And so this entire place is surrounded by cedar trees. Cedar trees. They're like giants. You can feel it. And I just wanted you to get a feel, and on this Wellness Wednesday, that medicine is all around you. And so, of course, what does the badass auntie do? I've been sneaking around in the bushes looking at the medicine, and then I was harvesting some of the flat cedar that I'm going to share with my family when I get back home. So I was sneaking in those bushes, and shoot, with the braids and stuff, they probably and there's a non-native tourists. So here I am sneaking around in the bushes harvesting flat cedar, and I thought, now they're running into that casino. They smiling walking in, but they're looking sad coming out. I know I'm going smiling, but I'm going to also be smiling because of all this cedar and all of this medicine. So I just wanted to share that with you. But let me tell you what's going on here. It's been about 9 months. Squaxin people and wanted Native Wellness to come here. And part of their request is they wanted Native Wellness to come, and there was a lot of what they called lateral oppression. And what is lateral oppression? Lateral oppression is a phenomena where Indian hurts Indian. Hurt people hurt people. And so it's often that is what was asked for. So, but I want to tell you, how did we start? What did we start doing here? Right, we started with gentle pacing. We had a gentle agenda where prayers were said. We asked the elders present to do the prayers in their language. We asked them to we did introduction, and it was kind of interesting because there's clinicians, and man, they got some really good clinicians here. They got some really good counselors. They got some really good I call them healers. We call them traditional practitioners. And then they invited about 35 elders in the community. And that once the elders came, once they came and joined us, it made the energy just so much open to healing. And a couple of the elders, they're not as mobile, so we made accommodations, and we came outside, and some were sitting on the grass, and we did several exercises. We did the cultural walk. And in the cultural walk, it opened the door for healing. In the cultural walk, we had everybody go to one side of the room. And I'm just describing how we're healing here from lateral oppression. And we'd call out groups. And the cultural walk is a diversity exercise that came out of the 60s and the 70s to help people ally with each other and help people come together in a really good way. And so we'd call out groups of people, and it's with no words, and they walk to the other side of the room. And then they look across, and they see which group they belong in, and then they look to the left, and they look to the right and see which group they belong to. But it was interesting. That was when the healing started, because one of the groups that was called out first was, "Have you ever been incarcerated?" And woo, it was so revealing, because 80% of our group walked to the other side of the room. And for some of us, it was surprising, and some it was not, because often in the colonization process, it is our people that get locked up. It is our people who end up incarcerated. It is our people so it was that was one of the groups. And so that led to, what were the feelings? One of the elders said she walked, but she felt shame because she had been locked up. And today, everybody just here, they just revere her. They listen to her. She's kind. She's got that indigenous knowledge. And so it was hard. It was something that happened when she was young, you know, and it was less than 24 hours, but she had been incarcerated. So she walked across. And so that rigorous honesty. Another category, we asked for everyone that was single, and this is just to begin the healing, whoever was single to walk across the room. And when everyone walked across, everybody started teasing because they said, okay, if you walked across, then and you're single, that means you're eligible. That means you're snaggable. That means that you are possibly entertaining and open to a relationship. So it was there was a lot of, Indians and humor. And then those who are already in a committed vow relationship, they were on the other side. So we were teasing. So badass auntie said to them, the ones that are single here, this is the ones that are available for having a relationship. And so it's kind of, so they are snaggable. So we started another group, and I'm just sharing with you because we're at Squaxin Island Tribe, and we're at Little Creek Resort. And I'm going to go in a minute because we're on the lunch hour, and there's some elders that are going to speak with us and some volunteers. Because Native Wellness Institute, we like to umbrella the experience, and we wanted to bring to you live a live situation without without a script, without premeditated words that were going to be used. We just wanted from a real live Indians, natives, to describe to you what they think of this healing experience. I just wanted that exercise that was interesting, one of the categories, and even today, as people slept, because at Native Wellness Institute, we have a healing experience, and then we always like people to go home and get a good night's, 7-8 hours of sleep. And then come back and reflect on what happened. And one of the reflections that was in the circle, we do everything in a circle. It's never a theater style. So in the circle, several of the elders and several of the staff of family services here at Squaxin talked about when they walked, they were surprised that everybody had a near-death experience. And there were siblings sitting by each other, and it was healing because each of the siblings had a different perception of what had gone on when one of the siblings fell, hit her head, and turned blue, and then was brought back to life. It was healing because she couldn't remember some of it, but her brother could. And as he told the story, then other siblings in the group talked about when there was other traumatic experiences where, it could have been an accident, it could have been other things. There was a lot of storytelling when that it's traumatic when you're raised by parents who still drink alcohol or still use drugs. And so that was very healing. And what it did is it primed the pump for others to tell their story without judgment. I'm just taking a moment because we're going to head back we're going to be interviewing some of the participants. Again, this is Theda Newbreast. Nistu Mokoyo Sekoyi is my second Blackfoot name. and I'm part of the larger Native Wellness Institute team, and we've been here at Squaxin Island Tribe. I'm going to walk back towards the room, and we've have 4 teams. Their teams are all in Squaxin name. I think there's one team called the Reservation Dogs. So that's curious. So they've selected a volunteer who can articulate. So we just wanted to do some interviews with them. It's been 3 years since Native Wellness Institute has done the Power Hour. We used to do it 7 days a week, 5 days a week. We actually have right now a training going on in Portland. And in Portland, the training going on is adults who work with youth. We've got like 70 people over there. And that is going on currently. And so the Power Hour, we're welcoming you to Wellness Wednesday. And I just want to stop for a moment because this entire resort, look at what's here. All carved. There's just the creation story. Look at this. The Thunderbird. The Thunderbird that went out and grabbed the whale from the ocean and brought it back to the people when there was a famine. There's just all of their history. You know, we can walk into one of the rooms here. I just wanted to move us back towards Native Wellness Institute. We're here 2 days, and we're on our lunch break. And so this is Theda Newbreast just sharing with you live those who want to be interviewed and let you know what's going on Squaxin Island with our elders and with our family services. So we'll just, first volunteer, I'm right here. Yeah, so, God, and the thing is that they've been serving us like fresh salmon. We had like, yesterday we had wild rice prepared. We had fresh vegetables. We had strawberry kale salad. We just been treated. Protocol is to feed your guests. So yesterday, so this is awesome. So our first elder. Oh, and gosh, I just love this lady. So this is Theda Newbreast with Native Wellness Power Hour, and so please introduce yourself.
Greetings. My name is Elizabeth Christ, and welcome to Squaxin Island Reservation area. We are having a wonderful, wonderful 2-day training here with Theda. And it's, I'm saying training, but it's really rediscovering ourselves. It has been really quite an experience to be able to share some of our knowledge, life experiences with younger people, and even just accepting and acknowledging it ourselves. And you never know what you don't know until you're sitting in a training and you get one of those aha moments and you realize that you need to heal a certain part of your life that you didn't know needed healing. And we thank Theda, and we thank the Wellness Institute for allowing us or sharing her with us.
Stay here just for a moment. I wanted to. Is it okay if I ask you, her and I, and you didn't give us your names?
Oh, my names?
Yeah, you name your names.
Oh, from the group that we were?
Yeah.
Okay. We had some little division of groups, or divided into groups to come up with something, and we came up with Asali, which is the Lashutsi name for the number 2, because you count off in 1, 2, 3, 4, and we were number 2, and we were Asali, and it was amazing. I think that if we had done this yesterday, we would not have been able to go through. We needed to list our strengths. And it was a group of women in our group, and we just went through those strengths like nobody's business. And it was really amazing and very heartwarming to see our younger people also be able to just spout out everything that we are strong about. And then we did a little cheer. And it was like based on the tone of "We Are Family," but we were Asali.
Ah.
We were the number 2 group, but it was really a lot of fun working with young and old together.
Yes. So thank you, sister. And so let me ask you one other question, because we've been visiting quite a bit. And it's a question of how important it is to have your cultural identity. What do you think about that? Please tell me. Yeah.
Oh boy. That is really very, very important. The reason that it's, I shared a little bit with Theda yesterday that I was I was originally raised Mexican American. I did not know I was Native until I was in my 40s. And then I came to Squaxin Island Reservation with family, and I was able to assimilate into this group of family because genetically we are family. We have so many similarities, and my two cultures assimilated a lot. In some areas confusing, but not really. We are all here for each other and for the earth.
And we were starting the dialogue on the prophecy of when the condor meets the eagle. And that was why. So thank you, sister. And you can send the next person in. So while we're waiting for the next person, the prophecy of when the condor meets the eagle is when the southern continents of Peru and South America come into North America, and we began to ally with each other on healing and culture. And so our last guest, at Squaxin right now, we're talking about prophecies. We're talking about historical, resilient, significant things that have gone on. And boy, our next guest, this is like, I'm just elated. It makes, tears of joy. So we have our next guest, and we'll have her do introduction. And I just see her as my Taumoko little sister. And so please introduce yourself.
Twa Gwalapu Tadisha, Wisasa Seedsta, Squach Sedubs. Hello to all of you, my honored friends, family, Indigenous people. It's a good day to be Indigenous. My government name is Morningstar Green. My ancestral name is Wisasa Stub. My ancestral name comes from the Quileute tribe, and I'm a Squaxin Island tribal member.
Yes. So I asked little sister, because she's a badass. But a simple question, sister: what kind of healing has been going on in this tribe, and what kind of healing is happening today, and what would you like to see happening with healing?
So the type of healing I feel like we're experiencing here is just coming back after the pandemic and coming back into life. And, I feel like people have gotten the chance to really experience the trauma that they've been holding on to during that time of isolation, it feels like. And it feels like as we're coming back out, people are finding their voice in healing. And so I think Theda's created a safe place for us, and all of us being here have been here to support each other and create a safe place for each and every one of us to open up about what we've been holding on to. There's been a lot of tears shed, and what I would like to see for our Squaxin community is hosting more safe events where people can come together and heal, because I think this is the time when people feel safe and feel like their voices need to be heard.
And the reason I said she's my little sister is because she was telling me why she decided to get her Taumoko on her chin. And I was describing, in my 67 years, that the Taumoko, when I lost my father, that I got on my male side, and then that to heal with my grandmother's, I got a Taumoko on my left side. And so, Sister, do you mind describing, because I think she has a beautiful story that, because sometimes when we put any kind of tattoo or tamoko are markings on our body, it tells part of our story. And so tell us about it. What led up to you deciding to look as beautiful, and you look at her and she's like she looks like she belongs in New Zealand, or she looks like she belongs here, but she looks like there's so many of the prophecies. So tell us, why did you decide, and how did it come about?
So my husband and I, we just took a trip to Tahiti, and before the trip to Tahiti, we had taken a trip to Hawaii and learned about the canoes coming over and landing in our territory, and just sharing that bloodline. But when I decided to get this, it was just kind of a joke. Let's get our our faces tattooed. And but when I really thought about it, I was talking to the tattoo artist and let him know that we are the people of the water, and just talked about my family and where we come from. And the representation is the waves. And so, representing water is life, being a water protector, fighting for the water rights and stuff. He decided to go with the waves, and it represents movement, and it has the 3 lines in there to represent my children. And there was supposed to be a Eve bird in there that connected the two, but when talking with him, he said that he did not want to connect them yet because he still felt like one represents my past and one represents my present, and that I still have some healing to do from my past. And so it's good to be here. It feels like all of this was meant to be, coming in and healing. And last night when I went home, I haven't got to share this with anybody yet, but last night when I went home, I just cried and just thought a lot of, about myself and what I do need to look back on. And a lot of that has been brought up during this time. And so thank you for that. Thank you for creating that space for us.
No, and I just wanted to hear little sister's story, and we encourage you, all of you out there, because there's a big movement to put your story on your body. And there's a big movement of let it be a guide. And so I really like that little sister they aren't connected yet, because, how old are you?
30. I just turned 34 last week.
So in our way, we say you have 66 more years to live, because we get to live in our physical body 100 years. Yeah. And so this is beautiful, because maybe Native Wellness Institute can interview you in another 10 years, or another 20 years. Is there anything else you want to say to our young people that you just would like to, in words of encouragement?
Oh, yes, I love speaking to young people. I just want to reach out and say you are not alone. You're going to go through struggles in life. I've been there. I just want you to know that you are not alone. There's people cheering you on, even when you feel like you're in your darkest hours. There may be a person in mind. Reach out to that person in mind, because the creator is telling you that for a reason. That person popped into your mind for a reason, because that person either has a shared experience. I just want you to know that, your words matter. You're not a burden. You are loved. We do this for you. You are our future, and keep pushing on. You are resilient. Our people are resilient, and just know that that runs in your blood.
Ooh, see, she's a badass. I'm gonna give her a hug.
Thank you.
If you could send the next person in, and so just to detail our story, in 1 minute, it is there when we were in New Zealand. Maybe you could stand here, and then when we were in New Zealand, there was an elder named Kakuni Blasdale, and he talked about 12 wakas that left Hawaii. And he said that 9 of the wakas, and these are like war canoes that could hold 400 warriors, and they all had the Tom Woko on their faces. And he said 9 of them landed in Aotearoa, New Zealand. 1 landed in Tahiti. 1 landed on Easter Island, and they believe the other landed up here, right where we are. Squaxin Island, again, is a little island 11 miles out by a little less than a mile, but in this area. And so our next brother, and this is Isaac. You'll get to meet. I wanted Isaac, what's going on here? What kind of healing's happening? Introduce yourself first.
Hi everybody, my name is Isaac Ackerman. I'm a Squaxin Island tribal member, and I have the pleasure of working with our tribe, our family services department, and we have the Native Wellness Institute here, Theda, helping us, I think, heal intergenerational trauma with not just our family services department, but also our elders in the community. And this is kind of our first intentional healing workshop as a team since coming out of the pandemic. So it's really, really amazing, and it feels really good to be talking about things and acknowledging things that we've maybe been, hiding away for the last 3 years. And our culture has even, taken a back seat. I think at least that's been my experience in the last few years, having to find that medicine and that healing for ourselves when maybe it wasn't safe to gather or whatever, and so talking about these things that have been on our hearts, and expressing ourselves in that way, it feels really good.
So let me ask you a couple of questions, and
Yeah, of course.
if I had some elevator socks, Isaac's just so handsome and tall. What does it mean to be Squaxin, and what are the strengths and the qualities of being, like, when you were growing up, what did your elders, what was done that you just stuck out your chest, or you just felt invincible, because each tribe. So tell us, because some of our people are in Canada, they don't know where Squaxin Island is. Mm-hmm. Some of our people are in Australia, they don't know where Squaxin Island is. Mm-hmm. And some of our people are downtown Portland, and they don't know where Squaxin. So Isaac, tell us a little bit about Squaxin.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. One of my first jobs was working for our museum, our cultural center up the hill. And what I would tell people who weren't sure about Squaxin Island, where we were, is basically everybody knows where the Puget Sound is. And if you follow in from the ocean, the Puget Sound, all the way in the southernmost Puget Sound, there's this little island called Squaxin Island. And when colonizers came and rounded up Indians and put them on reservations, that island became our reservation. So there, were also travelers that were put on that island, and kind of a melting pot of people from all around, and then also local Indians as well. A couple of those strengths that I know, as Squaxin people is, we're called people of the water. So I know we thrive when we're on the water together in a canoe. And with the canoe journey coming back this summer, I'm so excited to feel that one heart, one spirit, one mind again. That's something that I even sense today in our circle again. So we really have an interconnectedness when we come together, and that's something we've been missing a lot. We have such big beautiful singers here, dancers, hunters, gatherers, fishermen. We, you know, anything ever happens, we know how to live off the land, and you know, we're just a strong people, you know, and family. You know, we know how to stick together. That's one thing, even through the pandemic, I know we've done. So.
Oh my gosh. So, Isaac, what is the canoe journey? When did it start? And like, what's the plans? Because I understand a lot of our people from Montana want to go over to Muckleshoot.
Oh, yeah.
So, and a lot of our people in Alberta want to go to Muckleshoot. So tell us, what is the canoe journey and what's happening with that?
Yeah, the canoe journey. Wow, it's the best kept secret, I think, of like the West Coast, to be completely honest. My first canoe journey was in 2011 to Swinomish. From what I know, the canoe journey started back in the 80s, and the chiefs that came together to really revitalize the culture, they wanted it to be every 4 years at first, once every, kind of like the Olympics, to really, like, I don't know what the purpose was, maybe to just retain that, you know, to keep it special or something. I'm not sure what the significance of the 4 years was, but then I think in like 89, they made it every year, or sometime in the 90s it went to every year. So then what happens on these canoe journeys is one tribe in the Pacific Northwest up into Canada, one tribe wants to be a host. So everybody send out the invitation, and every tribe that has a canoe makes their way to that host location, and it's a potlatch. It's a potlatch for a week-long celebration of sharing your songs and your stories and your dances and food, and they take care of you for a week, and you get to camp the whole way there. It's basically a big potlatch, and you know, you're moving on the water every day, you're traveling by water every day, and you're taking care of each other, and it's just a really good time to unplug, get away from the office, from our screens, from everything, you know, the colonized world, and really immerse yourself into our culture and remember who we are.
Isaac, before you go, in 2007, my mother, Yellow Flower Woman, wanted us to bring her over to the canoe journey. And she had heard about it, just like what you were describing. And thank you for, you know, describing it to the people who are watching this. You're all invited. But in 2007, this is what my mom said. She said, I have a feeling this is like the ghost dance. She said, I have a feeling that this is going to bring the people back together. I have a feeling that it's going to combine all of our strengths of all of the tribes in the coastal and all of the other 570 tribes in lower 48. And so we drove, we had a couple campers and we had a Chihuahua.
They're invited too.
The Chihuahuas are invited too. And our Chihuahua, the Nuxkamapi Old Crow, who has gone on, was a spirit dog. He just got up on a canoe and was like looking around and looking. And then it's almost like he was going for the ones coming in and singing, because he was inviting them. There's a lot of invitation, and then you ask permission to land. And so there's the Chihuahua. But Isaac, I wanted to share this with you because when Mom came over, it was in Tulummi, and she just cried. And I'm having the tears because I can remember. And then before they got to Lummi, Puyallup had capsized. And nobody drowned, but they had capsized, and I think it was Connie McLeod who just stripped off her stuff and just had very little on and hung on to the canoe.
Wow.
And so as they were rescuing them and bringing them in, my mother was one of them. There was just several people that just went and first of all got them warm. Got off the wet clothes, didn't let the hypothermia start. We had hot liquids, teas for them to drink. And we had to listen to them because they had just gone through trauma. They didn't know if they were going to live, you know. And so we brought them all out, and there was prayers over them, and then singers started singing. And like what you said, Isaac, once the singers started singing around them, it was like instant healing. And so I just wanted to share that with you. So what do you have to say just hearing that? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, it warms my heart and it resonates because the canoe journey is like a resurgence of our longhouses. You know, it's where that healing can take place. You know, we might not have all the same structures, but we have the people, we have the spirit, we have that medicine inside of us that we can share with each other. And I mean, so many tears are shed during the canoe journey because you feel that coming back and remembering who you are. And I believe it, you know, that it is healing. And the drums, you know, we miss the drums. I miss the drums. And
Yeah. No, I can see it in you. So thank you, Isaac. And if you could send the next person in, we just have there's just so much talent here. There's so much skill here. Thank you for, and Isaac is part of a team of 26 that works with Squawks and Family Services. And so we'd just like to, we're at Squawks Island, we're Native Wellness Institute, and this is Wellness Wednesday. And it's so cool because our next sister, and when I look at her, I don't know, for some reason she looks like my relative. We look like we should live by each other and talk smack, eh? So our next guest, would you please introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. My name is Charlene Kreis. I'm from Squaxin Island tribe. My people have lived here in this territory area for thousands of years. We are still here and still in love with our land, our teachings, and people of the water, people of the cedar tree, the salmon people. That's who I am.
And so I love when Sister came in yesterday and we saw each other, there was a lot of the elders here started talking about the old times and started talking. We had a veteran talk about when he went away and then he came back and how he had to reintegrate. And so a lot of the people from Squaxin that move away and come back, and then a lot that have stayed here. Can you say something? Why is there this journey of going out and coming back? And why do Squaxin people stay here?
Ooh. This is a good one. Okay, we know about colonization. We know how that the federal government made all these laws to take away the land, but trying to be nice to us and say, hey, let's have a treaty. We had a treaty called the Medicine Creek Treaty of 1854, and it gave us an opportunity to meet with the non-tribal people. And prior to that, we helped them. We were a good neighbor. We doctored them. We made sure that they understood the ways of this Northwest, because it could be treacherous if you're not used to the tides, to the changes of the weather, to the different plant species. So we had forged this strong relationship of trust. Okay, so now we're at this treaty making, December 24th, 26th, in that time period. And the language they speak isn't English. It's not our Loshutsi language, but it's this business language, a language we understood very well. It's called the Chinook jargon, and it has like acronyms that mean many things. And so our men and leaders that were there, when they heard this language, pretty much like rolled up their sleeves and they're listening. And of course, there are some of our leaders that like, no way. I'll tell you what I think about your treaty. Take the treaty, and they took it and tore it all up, threw it on the ground, and ground it into the ground with their foot. That's what they thought about the treaty. Other tribal people were looking at their trusted friends that are non-natives, like, and it took an arm around the back, like, come on, it's all right, or a pat on the shoulder, come on. And our people had heard about these waves that were heading our way, big tidal waves of people. And so our people were ready. We knew that these waves of people were coming. Our tribal people wanted to secure the future because we believe in 7 generations. And to secure the future, we gave land to the federal government. They didn't give us any land. We gave thousands of acres of land for what? For the right to exist, for as long as the grass grows, the sun rises, and the rivers flow. That right to live in our ancestral lands, to harvest the foods, to know how to take care of our people, kind of the self-governance thing. And so when the people signed that treaty of 1854, it was an important time. It took 2 years for that treaty to go back to DC, come back here. During that time frame, there was gold found in a nearby area. So by the time the treaty came back, a lot of that language had changed. I am from Squaxin Island. However, my people had vast land, but by the time the treaty became ratified, became law of the land, our people were reduced to an island 5 miles long, 2 miles wide, and no real creeks, none of our medicine, and our people were upset. Some of our people went to war. I mean, it was a war. And then others like, I don't want to go to war. And because knowing that we would be overpowered, we already had military people from West Point stationed in our area. So it was a tough one. So that's kind of the long story of it. Now jump up to where we are today. In the 1960s, some of you may remember there was a civil rights movement going on, Native American civil rights movement going on. Our people also were part of that, securing the right that had been taken away from us, that right to go out harvesting salmon. And now we had our tribal people being thrown into jail, being treated as criminals, and our people had to really struggle. It was not easy. It was like a battle. But now the battle wasn't with guns and bows and arrows. It wasn't that kind of battle. It became a battle in court. And this battle, we had to prove to them, yes, indeed, we were those that signed the treaty. We are the descendants of those that signed the treaty. And when the battle was finished and the dust was done, there was a federal decree called the Judge Bolt decision. And this decision said, State of Washington, you are held legally binding to uphold the Treaty of 1854. And by the time that happened, 1974, my people were dispersed everywhere. Canada, different states. And now that we had that right to come back together, a lot of us returned. I was one of them. My mother is Colville Confederated Tribes. My mother also is a descendant of those from the Nez Perce band that were imprisoned in Nez Pelham. And so I have that history too. And I was enrolled in my mother's tribe. My brother says, hey sis, we need to enroll in our father's tribe. I did, and believe me, it was interesting. I'm just a young person. Our elders said, you need to take this training. We had to learn the federal law, and we learned, taking notes in my notebook, we had to learn conflict resolution training. And when we did this, I had no clue. By the time I get out there on the water, it was a war zone. I know the sound of bullets ricocheting off the water. I know the sound of someone saying, the only good Indian is a dead Indian. I know the cuss words that non-tribal people just shot at us with. It almost been like a shotgun because they didn't want the tribal people to be on the water. So when it comes to why we return as Squaxin, it is part of the legacy that the Creator gave us. Even though we don't own this land, we have never stopped loving it. We still love it. We recognize the land has so many good things. And when it comes time to sitting at those tables for environmental protection, we're there. If it means making people understand more about climate change, we are there. Because our people recognize the earth is what really gives us this life, the food, the water, and we need to treat the earth with the greatest respect. So, as a Squaxin tribal person, I am so proud to be back in ancestral territory, to be with my people. But in recognition, I also see historical trauma, and it goes into federal law. So don't forget that. Federal law created a lot of destruction for the people, and even religious beliefs. That was destructive too for our people. And we have people still struggling with their addictions, difficult problems that they have to deal with. And we constantly try to help them because we need to keep our people, we need to empower them.
And we're going to give Sister time because you can see how passionate. I just want to hug you and kiss you. And again, we're here at Squaxin Island, and you've just heard the best indigenous knowledge you could ever hear from an elder who has lived it, who has thrived it, who was taught, and who is fighting for the culture and the land and the spiritual ways. It's so loving here. Last night, I was out in the cedar trees, as I said, and then I had some cedar and I put it by my bed, and I slept like a grizzly bear in their den. So, can you, in our last few minutes, can you tell us what we have to look forward to? With the language. I mean, the young people here are speaking the language. The young people inside want to sing the songs. Can you just tell us, as a Squaxin person, what we have to look forward to and why everyone should ally and be an ally to Squaxin Island?
So our elders say the language comes from the land. The land constantly is reaching out to you, no matter where you are in this United States. The land is reaching out to us, and it is speaking to us, trying to touch us, and we need to pay attention. As a little girl, my grandaunt raised me while my mom was out working, and she taught me a lot of the whole shoot seed words, and I have them in here, but I also had this it was interesting. There was an immersion class, and I was late, so I came in, and all the hairs on my back just started to go wild, because the teacher, I could hear him, and he was telling the story. I recognized the story immediately, but I couldn't enunciate it. And I sat there, and my whole body got all tingly, because it was the language that I recognized from my grandaunt. And so we, as Indigenous people, we need to continue to strive, to work hard to keep learning the language and keep it with us. If it's difficult for you to learn it, try to sing it. I had difficulty with a prayer, so I put it to music, and that really helped me to remember it.
Yes.
When it comes to the revitalization of our language, please be outdoors and touch the earth, let the earth touch you. Listen to the wind as it's blowing through the trees, and you can hear the leaves are almost singing our song.
And as you can see, and I just have to stand close to you, because Native Wellness Institute, our mission is to keep the teachings of our ancestors alive. And you've just heard from there's 60, 70 of us here, because we just got joined by another group who's looking at all the plants. Picking the plants, Devil's Club. And so we're going to go join them. So we thank you so much for listening to us, because listening to each other and creating allyship is how we maintain for the next 10 generations. NWI, it's the teachings of our ancestors, and we want to just remain there. So you've seen the best of the best, because she's a badass. He's a badass. They're all a badass. No matter what their pronouns are, they're badasses. So we thank you very much for coming to the Power Hour. We're here every Wednesday, and now we're going to share this out. We're asking you please to share it, because there was wisdom from a spirit speaking to you in this last hour. So thank you very much.
Thank you.